that's what all the people say.
Hey, it's time for That's Life with Julie, and we're picking up again today with this whole discussion about teenagers reacting, not reacting, responding, parenting, loving, and really being able to raise them and be able to get to that point where they get to go off into their future and you can exhale and be able to live with as little regret as possible. That's really what I desire in my own life, and it's what I desire for you. Today I'm going to speak to you about a true story in the Barnhill Parenting Files, and this may help a few of you, especially if your child is as this teen was, who really responds well to fact, all right, to just direct, straightforward conversation. Some of you as moms may be a little bit more like me, that, I mean, facts are good, but you like to kind of talk about the emotion of it, and you can kind of get the Bible-y spiritual part going. And not that that's a bad thing, but there is a point in time, and there's certainly children that respond better to just straight facts, all right? And they can be facts from Bible, you know, how they're woven in. It can be facts about life. And that's what this was, a fact of life. All right, so a few years ago, a certain teenager lived in our home, and she was choosing to make decisions and make choices that her father and I did not care for. And one evening, she called home and told us that she was going to have a change of plans. And when Rick hung up the phone, he said, "Julie, she's been drinking. She's drunk. I can tell in her voice. I'm going to go get her." And it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. See, she thought she thought she could call. "Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I just want you to know, just checking in." But Dad's like barometer. He knew. So he gets in the car and he goes over to the house, and the other parents, I'm sure, were sleeping and probably didn't have a clue what was going on drama-wise. But he tells Kristen to come out, and she did. All right, there are other teenagers that wouldn't do that. I know that. So she was compliant in that way. But she gets in the car and she was quite belligerent. And I hear about this a few hours later in the morning when Rick talks to me. But over the course of that conversation, of Kristen coming home, of Kristen not being happy about her dad calling her on what was going on in her life, she said to her father, "You know what? I just want to live my own effing life. All right? So just get out of my life." That's what she said to her father. Okay. So they get home and she goes up to her bed and Rick gets back in bed. He doesn't say anything. And the next morning we have a discussion and Rick shares that a little quote with me. And I was like, "Are you oh, something just bing, just clicked in me. Something just did not set well." And so that day, that afternoon, and this was her senior year, and college was all in the works, and financial aid and softball, and will she get a scholarship to play, and will she play? Does she want to play? All those type of things were going on. So she came home from school, and I think I put her in the car. I don't know. We may have just been in the house. But this is the little discussion we had. Because here's the thing. You don't want to mess with a mother who knows how to use facts. All right? I can kind of get the emotional thing going. I can kind of go off base a little bit sometimes and have to bring back on center. But when my mind is set, research, facts, and laying it out, I kind of got a gift for that. So that whole day, as she's at school, I'm compiling my facts, compiling my facts. So I printed out a little fact sheet for her. And I said to Kristen that day when she came home, just her and I said, "Listen, you need to know something. Your dad told me what you said last night." And maybe she remembered, maybe she didn't. I don't know. And I repeated to her, your dad told me that you said, "Get out of my life. I want to live my own effing life." So. And I said, "You need to understand something, Kristen. He may be your father, but he is my husband. And you will not, and you are not going to speak to my husband with such disrespect ever again. Do you understand that? Do you understand it? You have gone too far." So I made that little statement, and then I said, "You know what? While you were at school, I put together a Live Your Own Effin' Life worksheet, and that's what I titled it, all right? Some of you are like, big whoop-de-doo. She said the F word. I mean, we hear it all the time. Well, in our family, it's a big deal. All right. So it didn't make me real happy. Make me real happy. So I said, here's your live your own effing life worksheet. And I had option A, option B, and option C. Option A was find $17,000 and go to the university half an hour from home, and good luck. That was it. That was your option. Come up with $17,000 and go to school. Option B was the following. Come up with half that amount of money, find an apartment, and that day I'd gotten online and gotten how much an average apartment was in the city she'd be in, and how much the average gas was, and electricity, and average grocery. Facts, you don't want to mess with me. And I had that all lined out, and that's option B. And option C was go to the school that has offered you has offered you a softball scholarship that defrays the cost of university significantly, that your father and I can actually help pick up the cost of the remaining portion, and go and do that. And that was her choice. And it didn't take Kristen too long. She kind of mulled things over, and she actually ended up taking option C because she was faced with the facts. And so some of you with your teenager just need to get really factual about the reality. Maybe one of them wants to move out. They're not of legal age. You need to go online, find out what the rules are, what the law is in your state about being a minor, emancipated minor, being listed as a runaway, people who harbor a runaway. All of those things. You need to get the fact and be able to present that and say, here's what you're wanting to do, here are the facts, and if you choose to follow through with that, then, these are the legal ramifications that are part of your choice. The facts, all right? And for some of our teens, that's exactly what they need. A little less conversation, maybe a little less and a little more just, this is the way that it is. That's Life with Julie, and I'm going to pick up with a few more hints and tips and experiences in the next video.
That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot back down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that too.